You ever pour your heart and soul into a project, you know it's working, and then someone from up high asks, "This is great, but what are we really getting for our money?" It's that question, right? The one that can just stop you dead in your tracks. Well, today, we're diving headfirst into a powerful framework that is designed to answer that exact question, not with feelings, but with cold, hard, confident data.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. We're going to start with a business problem that I think you'll find very relatable. Then we'll introduce the solution, this thing called the ROI methodology. We'll unpack its two core parts, the 6 levels of data and the step-by-step process. And then we'll get to the good stuff, why mastering this can completely change the game for you and your entire department.
And to make this super concrete, we're going to follow the story of a real company. It's called National Investment Corporation, or NIC for short. They're a big financial services firm, and frankly, they were facing some serious challenges, the kind that probably sound a little too familiar.
Okay, get this. In just 5 years, NIC's annual growth rate went from a super healthy 15% all the way down to less than 1%. I mean, that's not just a dip, that's a nosedive. And it was a massive red flag that something, somewhere, was fundamentally broken.
And you know, the problems weren't just on the outside. Inside the company, staff turnover was sitting at a staggering 30%. Now, to put that in perspective, the industry average was 15%. They were losing people at double the normal rate. And when that's happening, you know you've got some deep issues with morale and your internal systems.
So what did this mean for the customer? Well, it was bad news there too. Customer complaints were just climbing and climbing, hitting about 120 every single month. And when they dug into why, they found that almost all of these complaints were about one thing: slow service and slow response times. So a new marketing director, a guy named Richard Mills, comes in. He sees all this and decides to pilot a new CRM system to try and fix things. But after putting in all that time and all those resources, he gets hit with that one ultimate question from his leadership team. What are we getting for our money? He knew the CRM was the right move, but he needed a way to prove it.
And this is where the hero of our story comes in. Richard turned to something called the ROI Methodology. It's a framework that's literally built from the ground up to provide clear, credible answers to that exact question.
So what is it? Well, the ROI methodology is a systematic process to measure the actual business impact of a program, and, this is the crucial part, to compare its monetary benefits directly to its costs. The key word in all of this is systematic, right? This isn't about guesswork or fuzzy math. It's a structured, repeatable way to show your value.
Now, the first piece of this whole puzzle is understanding what you should even be measuring. You can't just skip to the end and pull a number out of thin air. Instead, you build what's called a chain of impact by collecting data across 6 totally distinct levels.
Think of it like you're a detective building a case, piece by piece. You start at level 0, the inputs. For Nick, that was pretty simple. It's the cost of the CRM software and the time of the 60 managers in the pilot program. Then you move to level 1, reaction. Did the managers actually like the training? Did they think it was useful? Okay, great. Now level 2, learning. Did they actually learn how to use the new software? Which leads us to level 3, action. Are they really using it every day on the job? And now this is where it gets really exciting. Level 4, impact. Because they're using it, did customer complaints go down? Did sales go up? See the chain? And only when you've connected all those dots can you finally get to level 5 and calculate the ROI by comparing the financial wins to what you spent in the first place.
Okay, so knowing what to measure is half the battle. The other half is knowing how to do it. And that brings us to the methodology's super clear 4-phase process. It's basically your roadmap to proving value.
The whole thing just follows a really logical flow. First, you plan your evaluation. You've got to make sure you're measuring something the business actually cares about. Then phase 2, you collect the data across those 6 levels we just talked about. After that comes the analysis. And trust me, this is where the magic happens and where you build all your credibility. And finally, you use those results to tell a powerful story and figure out how to do even better next time.
I love this quote from W. Edward Deming because it perfectly captures what that analyze data phase is all about. Every system is perfectly designed to achieve exactly the results it gets. Basically, if you want results people can trust, you need a system they can trust. This methodology isn't about cherry-picking a number that looks good, it's about following a rigorous process that gets you to a number everyone can believe in. And at the very heart of that credible analysis is this simple but oh so powerful formula. You just take your net program benefits, which is the total money you brought in minus the costs,
You divide that by your total program costs and you multiply by 100. Boom, that's your ROI percentage. The whole trick, of course, is making sure the numbers you're plugging into that formula are absolutely rock solid.
So how do you do that? How do you make sure the numbers are solid? Well, the methodology has a set of what it calls guiding principles. For example, and this one's huge, you have to isolate your program's effects. Let's say sales went up after you launched the new CRM. You have to ask, was it only because of the CRM? Or did a big advertising campaign also launch that same month? The methodology forces you to use real techniques like control groups or trend analysis to separate those effects. That way, you can assign a defensible, conservative value to just your program. And that rigor, that's what makes your final ROI numbers so powerful.
So when you put this all together, you start to see that it's not just a fancy measurement tool. It's a truly transformational framework that can fundamentally change how your entire team is seen inside the business.
I mean, the shift here is just profound. The old way, marketing is seen as a cost center, right? You're operating on guesses and assumptions, and you're constantly fighting to justify your budget. But the new way, suddenly, marketing is a value driver. You're bringing data-backed proof to the table. Your work is directly linked to major business goals, and you're not just asking for money, you're making a clear, undeniable case for investment.
Look, the payoff here is absolutely huge. You're not just spitting out a number, you're changing the entire conversation. You start building real partnerships with stakeholders because you're not just asking for budget, you're showing them how you're achieving shared success. All that data helps you make your own work better, and this is how you win enthusiastic support for your best ideas, project after project after project.
At the end of the day, we all believe that the work we do creates value. We wouldn't do it otherwise. But the real challenge and the real opportunity is this: can you prove it? This methodology gives you the tools to do exactly that.